you're just joining, the concept here for class today is a vinyasa style class, but our emphasis is holding the stronger postures, but not our breath. Okay, so let's lift the knees up over the hips, bend the knees, flex the feet, so your shins are parallel to your ceiling. Bring awareness to your core muscles, push your hands and thighs firmly together and begin to tighten, pretend belt and suspenders. Ribs draw down, pressing. You can lift your head up if there's no strain. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and stretch the body out. Let's hug the knees in towards the chest and rock side to side. Stir the knees one way and the other way. Let's take a big breath. Doing that again, this is more about awareness in the core. So knees over hips, shins parallel, hands to a different spot on your thighs. Focus on how the pressure between your palms and thighs relate to the tightness in the belly. So the back stays neutral. I love this pose because our head, shoulders, and tailbone stay in a more neutral position. Navel down, ribs contained. You can lift your chest up, no strain in the neck for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, feet to the ground, arms by your sides, bridge waves. Move your heels closer to your glutes, arms are straight, palms are down. Lift your hips to hover and take 2 big breaths just to prepare. Allow the rib cage to move all the way around, almost like a cylinder right to the back ribs. 1 more breath. Find your power breath. Lift your hips higher. We're going to take a big inhale here. Hover your hips close to your mat. Exhale. Inhale to press up, knees over heels. Exhale to hover. Make sure your knees feel okay. You can always move the position of your feet. Big breath in, press up, squeeze your glutes. Exhale. Bigger breath in, lift. And exhale, 2 more on your own. Just try linking your breath. Your movements follow. Breath is the leader here. Good. So now come to your hold. So tuck the backs of the shoulders under you. You can move your feet a little bit wider. Continue with that strong breath, knees over heels. Now as you're lifting your tailbone up, you might lift your chest slightly. You can highlight different parts of this bridge position. Breath is strong. A wonderful position to open up the front body, the hip flexors, and the diaphragm. So that diaphragm sits underneath the lungs. It gets really stuck when we breathe shallow. Lifting, lifting. Take 1 more breath in. And lower the hips slowly to the floor. Breath out. Sway your knees side to side. Full breath in. And a long breath out. Oh, the dog wants to play. Take yourself over onto your hands and knees now. Moving through some cat-cow. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Let's take a big breath in as we lift our chest, gazes forward. Breath out to round, particularly the upper back. Tuck the chin. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, open the heart. And exhale to round. Strong breath here. Inhale, just allow the body to follow the breath. And exhale, 1 more full cycle. Maybe your eyes are closed. What are you tuning into? Good. Come to a flat back, hip circles. Bring your hips to the left heel and down. Right heel. Circle all the way back up to center. Other way. Tailbone towards the right heel. Good. To the left heel. Circle back up. left heel, to the right heel, and circle up. Right heel to the left heel, and back up. Okay, shoulders are over wrists or slightly behind. Tuck the toes. So now, going to hover the knees. You can put your knees down at any time. Begin to hover the knees about 1 centimeter over your mat. If you'd like a bit of a challenge, widen the stance between your feet, hovering. We're going to take the left toes off the floor. You can always put those toes down. Okay, toes down. Lift the right toes off the floor. And toes down. Option to do that again. So I've got left toes, and now I am lifting my right hand. Wobble, wobble, breathe. Okay, switch. So right toes lift, left hand lifts. It's okay to topple a bit. Okay, toes down, downward dog. Walk the feet back. Take a strong breath here. We're going to set up the hands now. So pull yourself forward into a high plank. Take some time. Stack the shoulders over the wrists. And if you look at me, you'll notice that I'm sort of in a bit of a downward dog shape. So try to straighten the body. Back of the head, tailbone to heels align. Shoulders slightly behind the wrists. Lower your knees to the floor and untuck your toes. Gaze is forward. Begin to lower your body to the floor. First, bend the elbows over the wrists. So you kind of drag your body forward a bit and then lay on your belly. Anchor the tops of your feet. Hover your chest like a back sit-up. Let's hang out here. Lower your chest closer to your mat. Hover your chest again as you draw your elbows back towards your hips and lower down. Inhale to hover and exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Try and pull the shoulder blades together, neck is long. Now lower down, elbows in. Push the straight arms on the knees. Tuck the toes, downward dog. So setting up the hands, approximately middle finger points forward. You can move the position of your hands depending on your wrists. Try to root the whole hand, not just the pinky side of the hand. Come to a high plank pose and lower your knees. Untuck the toes and lengthen your neck. So chest is broad, bend the elbows. You're pulling yourself forward, elbows over wrists. Neck does not shrink. Lay on your belly. Squeeze the elbows to the ribs. Hover your chest. Can you feel your upper back muscles awake? This time we're going to lay back down. Push to the knees. Tuck the toes. And downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. And a long breath out. Come on forward again. High plank pose. Still lowering the knees. Tuning into lengthening the neck. Open heart. Let's lower all the way to the belly. And then come to our elbows. Can roll out those wrists. Shoulders over elbows. Gaze is down. Pull your belly away from your mat. And now the thighs away from the mat. Let's start on the knees. Bring awareness to the back of your head, tailbone, align. Also, pretend you have suspenders on and begin to tighten those suspenders in the belly. Lower abdomen draws in, and for me, my tailbone tucks slightly under. Keep the breath strong. Notice when you start to feel tired, if you start to hang on the joints, just edge back from your edge. You can tuck the toes and lift the knees for a greater challenge. So in this position, try not to lift the knees and let go of those suspenders cinching. Breathing, strong breath. So with my knees off the floor, I'm still trying to straighten the body. Tighten the lower abdominals, tailbone tucks to the heels for 10, 9, 8, lifting out of the joint, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, good job, and 1. Lower down, untuck the toes, slowly lay to the belly, and then reach your arms back. Gaze is still down. Turn your palms to face down, so backs of the hands are facing the ceiling. Let's anchor the tops of the feet. Begin to lift the chest away from the ground as you reach your fingers as far back towards the back of your mat as you can. And the focus here is more, the backs of the arms are tense, upper back muscles make the neck long. So reaching the fingers towards the heels. Also reach the top of your head towards the top of the room. Lift the chest higher. Straighten your arms more. And try and lift the backs of your hands higher. And you've got this. You can always come in and out. Approach your edge. And then take a little breather. And then approach your edge. Now we're going to lift the legs. And everything about this position is length, not so much height. Try and bring your big toes together and squeeze your bum muscles. So gaze is down. Back chain of muscles, so important to correct posture. The posture of stress weakens our back chain of muscles and tends to hunch us forward. Lifting, lifting, lifting. The opposite of tense to neck, which I think I'm getting. Lifting for 5, 4, 3, 2. Bend your elbows, palms to the floor. Prepare to push up. Lower your feet, push up, and take yourself to a child's pose. So in your child's pose, find a place for your head to rest. You can shift the weight of your body heel to heel. A couple of slow breaths. Our practice here is that effort and ease dance. And the mind tends to trick us. We actually lose connection to deep, strong resources as we follow the mind. So sometimes I feel like I'm resting or losing my strength, but in fact, if I go deeper, I'm actually increasing stamina. We must rest. And slowly come on up, come to a tabletop position, tuck the toes, and then lift into a downward facing dog. Aware if your hands are shoulder distance apart. Notice if it feels like you're sort of sinking into your shoulders. Feeling your hands rooting. Sort of push those hands into the floor so that you can lift out of the shoulders all the way up to your tailbone. So finding muscles that create length. If your low back feels round, bend the knees and keep lifting the bottom of your seat high. Bend one knee more than the other at a time. So getting into the hips a little bit. Keep tilting your seat up. Chest gently presses towards the knees. When you're ready, start to walk your feet to your hands. Set your feet hip distance apart. Fingertips rest on the floor. Bend your knees quite a bit now, and drop your head. Gently nod, yes, shake the head, no. So allow the back of your neck to feel really long. Noticing gravity. Take a long breath in. You can sigh it out. We're holding halfway lift. A really important pose, especially if you practice vinyasa often. First, set your feet hip distance apart. Hands slide to shins below the knees. You can press a little bit. Bend your knees more like you're about to sit in a chair, and then lift your chest. Gaze is just in front of your mat. So we're holding halfway lift because a couple of things are common. Halfway lift, some people straighten their legs so much that they look like an upside down C. So if that is happening, bend the knees and then pull your tailbone straight back as you reach your heart forward. Keep the back of the head in line with your tailbone. Then as you do this, tighten the lower abdominals. Feel free to press lightly on your shins as you draw your shoulder blades back. A little bit of a shoulder roll back and down. We're gonna bow over the legs again, and then hands slide to shins. So for some people, this is a really deep bend in the knees. So we're tightening the belly suspenders, reaching the tailbone back, shoulder blades draw back, chest stays open. So what I'm feeling here is a stretch in my hamstrings already, containment in my core, and I'm even feeling my scapular muscles support me. Tighten the belly muscles, bend the knees more, and then hinge all the way up to a standing position. Drop the shoulders, roll the shoulders up to the ears, back and down. 3 times, let's just breathe. Reach up, inhale. Lower your arms as you exhale. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower. One more on your own. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower the arms. We'll move through a slow vinyasa. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Follow your breath, that calm breath. Exhale, bend the knees, bow forward, or even pause in that halfway lift and then drop the head. Halfway lift. Inhale, plank position as you exhale. Still lowering the knees. Inhale, open heart. Exhale, you can go to your belly or just bend the elbows a little. Inhale, on the belly, cobra like we did, or upward facing dog. You can lift the knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and a long breath out. Take a breath in first, and then exhale, feet to your hands. Inhale, long through the spine, open heart, halfway lift, or fingers can be on the floor. It doesn't have to be halfway. Bow your head. Root to rise. Reach all the way up. Coming to our chair pose to hold, but not the breath. So in your chair pose, find a long spine. Notice the tendency to close around the heart. So let's draw those shoulders back, opening around the heart. Finding length from the back of your head to your tailbone. And then as you're sitting, pulling your hips back and down like there's a chair that's way too far back. So you can always come in and out of this position. Notice your breathing here. So feet are hip distance apart. And as you're sitting back and down, scrub the feet apart. Kind of like dial the feet apart. So the tendency to kind of like wait for something to be over, increase that breath connection. Health in the lungs here. It enhances circulation. It begins to dig deeper resources that are there when we connect to that breath. So you can come into awkward pose. This is up to you, and at any time straighten the legs. So now lift the heels. Set your gaze. Allow yourself to wobble. Strong breath. Make your breath louder than your thoughts. For 5, 4, 3, 2, heels down, stand up, reach up, and lower the arms down. Full breath in. Long breath out. Glue your feet together now. Reach forward, palms down, as though you're pushing down on a surface. So drop the shoulders, tighten the belly muscles, and sit back and down. So notice the alignment that changes in effort. So our practice is to keep breath strong and keep that general alignment strong. Shoulders back, chest stays wide, neck stays long. So the body responds to stress and it amplifies when we breathe shallow, and then when we stop breathing and hunch. So strong here, sit low. So left hand to your back, right hand to your left thigh. Sitting really low, your spine does not change. Inhale, find length. And then exhale to gently twist. Moving the rib cage. Inhale, bottom of the ribs expand. And exhale to twist. One more here. We're gonna stay low. Inhale back to center, reach forward. And then exhale, twist your other way. Notice the tendency to start to hunch when you're tired. I do it all the time. So sit low, lifted heart, and we're rolling that shoulder back. If your neck is long, you'll start to gently turn your chin towards the ceiling direction. One more full breath in, you got it. And out. Inhale to center, we're staying low. Exhale to challenge. So you have the option here, just for one more breath, try and lift your heels up. Now, without a wider stance. Good. Slowly stand up, heels and arms down, right into a slow flow. Reach up. Bend the knees and bow. Flat back, breathe in. Plank pose, breathe out. You can lower the knees. Breathe in, long neck. Breathe out, bend the elbows just a bit. Breathe in, cobra or upward facing dog. Neck stays long. Exhale, downward facing dog. Holding the right leg high. So practice here, lifting your leg as high as you can without lifting your right hip up. So practice steering that lifted heel straight to the ceiling. And at first, what I practice is distance between the heel that's towards the floor, gently drawing down, and the heel that's lifting up. So to create some distance between each heel. Lifting that heel, square your hips to the floor, and pushing up. Try and straighten that lifted leg. Pressing. So you can stay here. Or slide to a high plank pose. So your heel tailbone alignment has not changed. And then press back up. Inhale. High plank pose. Exhale. Inhale, press up. Exhale, slide forward. One more. Inhale, press up. And exhale, slide forward. So now come forward if you're not. Place your foot down. We're in a high plank pose. You're welcome to come to your elbow. Or now, place your right hand under your face to the same side as the leg that was lifted. And shift to a side plank pose. You're more than welcome to come to your forearm. Sometimes I like to take that top foot flat to the floor for stability. We're lifting out of the shoulder. Left fingers reach up. Just make sure your shoulder is slightly behind the wrist, not in front of your supported wrist. Option here to stack your feet. Find alignment from the back of your head straight to tailbone to heel. You're welcome to lift your gaze, breathing strong. Option now to slide that left heel up, or top heel up. I'm gonna take a couple breaths and then count from 5. 5, 4, lift 3, 2. Good job. And 1. Even out your hands. Press into downward dog. Take a full breath in and a long breath out. So we're still dealing with the right leg. So the leg that was lifted. Lift it as high as you can. Come to a high plank pose. Drop the hip and bring your knee to your chest. Lift the leg high. High plank pose. Drop the hips, knee to right elbow. And sweep the leg high. High plank pose, knee to left elbow. So we are going to step through. Lift the leg and step your right foot between your hands. If it doesn't make it there, put your back knee down and just pick that foot and place it. There's absolutely no rush. Take a breath. Coming into a runner's lunge, I love this pose. Sweep the arms back and tilt forward. Part of the reason I love this pose is attention can feel more stable because the gaze is down. And then you can take that attention and notice the back chain of muscles. So as the torso tilts, there's room in the low back, which often is compromised in many of my students, and myself included. So let's really straighten the back leg, pull that back heel up, and imagine you can reach your tailbone to touch that lifted heel, if that makes sense to you. And then you might even notice if you glance at me, this is just common in me, how my head drops down so easily. So my practice is drawing my chin towards the back of the neck a little bit, so the back of my head starts to line my tailbone and that heel. It is not about perfection, it's just about anchoring our focus. So take a breath here, and now we're going to start to lift our gaze forward, lift the torso. If you start to notice that your pelvis is pulled forward, just bend the back knee so that your low back feels long. So for me, I am picking up the front edge of my stretch side, my left side, tuck, and then you can lift the arms. Bend the elbows, especially if when you lift your arm, your elbows feel really in front of you. Just begin to encourage, like cobra, shoulder blades draw together. So you have the option to stay right here, just practicing balance, or you can start to lift your gaze. Lead with your heart. Notice when there's strain and where that shows up for you. In our practice, like I keep saying, is to bring your breath into and replace that strain with breath. If you would like to, you can reach your thumbs back if this is okay for your shoulders, and just increase that front chain of stretch. So I'm tugging the front of my left hip bone up a bit, opening the heart, lunging, reaching the thumbs back. Okay, gaze is forward. So now we're going to straighten both legs. You can take a shorter stance if that feels better, especially if the back toes are bending too much. So now, let's bend the elbows. And if we weren't in a lunge, just imagine back of the head and elbows against a wall behind you. Notice how that feels. So now we're going to bend that back knee as close to the floor as we can. This is where you might take a shorter stance. So straighten legs and arms again. Then we're going to do that again. Hover that knee under the tailbone slightly, like you've moved it maybe under the tailbone. And then straighten. So now we're going to hold that hover. Tuck the tail forward. From here, drop your right hand, maybe reach your right arm behind you. Straighten the left arm and reach towards the right. So if the left knee is hovering, you're reaching the left arm to the right. Gently turn your heart lifted to the ceiling and take one more big breath. Lift both arms. We'll straighten and then find a warrior two. So So flatten that left foot, okay? Front knee bends over the ankle. Take your time to find your stance. And the stance doesn't have to be really wide. Your lunge doesn't have to be really deep. So make sure your knee isn't coming in front of that front ankle. Shoulders are heavy. At any time, hands to heart. And find your breath. Notice if tired shows up in your neck. It sure does for me. So drop those shoulders. Come away from that intensity of your edge and find your breath. And if you would like to, go a little bit deeper. Deeper could be your widening your stance. It could also be your tugging your heels towards the center of your mat. Shoulders are heavy, gaze towards your lunge. And this is a great pose to imagine you are against the wall. So pinkies, shoulders, bum, and gently draw that lunging knee towards that wall. Finding a breath here. Turn your palms to the side. Lengthen particularly the leaning side, ribs. Lift and begin to tilt your torso long through the ribs so your right hand comes to the inside of that bent knee, left arm on an angle. You do not have to look to those hands. Notice what happens here. I tend to want to reach towards the floor and hunch. Let's lengthen the right side of the rib cage. It looks like left to you, I think. So the lunging side, and open. A gentle twist here. Opening here. Imagine that reaching hand is coming towards that wall. If that creates strain, don't lift as high. Come on up to warrior two. Keep your lunge. And now lunging side, so my right fingers are reaching. Lunge deeper, reach higher, reach back. Taking one more strong breath here. Good, come back to your warrior two, final breath here. Nicely done. Straighten that front leg, turn all 10 toes to face the same direction. We're coming into just a little squat here. Heels in, toes out, your stance is up to you. So my practice here in a squat isn't about going super deep. It's about trying to keep my spine and pelvis neutral while I squat. So let's just bend the knees a tiny bit. Reach forward and drop the shoulders. Imagine your hands are pressing onto a table so that you feel your belly suspenders tighten, just like when you press hands to thighs. So now if you want to, you're bending your knees more, you're welcome to hinge a little bit at the hips. Try not to collapse the knees forward or in front of you. We're pulling the whole torso back and down again, like if there's a chair too far back. So imagine you've got a big elastic band around your shins, you're opening it, dial your heels in, tuck the tailbone under for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come up and lower the arms down. Bring your toes to face the same way. Heel toe to the center of your mat and turn to face the front of your mat. Let's pause here, just a couple of breaths. You can swing the arms. Just find some fluid motion with breath. Notice your next exhalation. Stand at the top of your mat. Slowly lift the arms without effort. Bend the knees and bow forward. Breath in. Plank pose, breath out. Lower the knees if you like. Stay here. You can skip bending the elbows. Bend the elbows a little. Push up. And then all that upward duck is point the toes. Open the heart. You're in a plank with pointed toes. And then over the toes, down dog. Left leg. Lift the left leg and you are welcome to stay here. So if the left hip starts to lift, the practice here is to push the left heel high as the right heel gently draws down. Square your hips to your mat. Breathing. Stay here. Or take a big breath in. We're using our exhale to come to high plank pose. Drop the hips, tighten the belly. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, which helps just to tighten the belly, lift the heel. Inhale, up. I know this is the opposite of flow. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more. Okay. Inhale. So now, come forward, knee to chest, drop the hips. Inhale, press up. Exhale, shift forward, knee to elbow. Good. Inhale, lift. Shift forward, knee to other elbow. Inhale. And now we're gonna step forward. Exhale. Take your time. Place that back knee down. You're gonna pick the front foot up and pause for a breath. As you feel ready, runner's lunge. You can climb up, take your time. So begin to lunge deeply, slant, and press the back leg up. Strong breath here. Feel free to keep your alignment from your heel, tailbone to head, but straighten the front leg, and then come right back to your lunge. So noticing that movement, but keeping that containment here. Try and draw your tailbone to reach to that back heel. We're almost done, folks. And then lift your torso, bend the back knee a little bit, lift your arms, and take a breath. And the practice here is we're lengthening, so my right foot's back, the front of my right hip. Think about pulling the front of that right hip bone up. Lunging, and now we'll bend the elbows and bend the back knee. Tuck the tail under, straighten, inhale. Bending both knees deeply, exhale, tuck, bend the elbows. Inhale, up, and exhale, hover. Inhale. Exhale, 2 more. Lead with your breath, not your mind. Good job. So now, just bend the front knee. Feel free to back bend a little bit. You can straighten or bend the back knee too. Lift your torso and warrior 2 on your other side. This will be it. Okay, so my left knee is bending. You can open your stance, open your wings. So it feels like when you open your wings, your shoulders rolled forward. You can bend the elbows. Sometimes I'll bring hands to heart and increase the good tension in your scapular muscles, your pull-up muscles. Hugging in towards the center line first with breath and containment, and then from there, that's our inner root. We reach through our extremities. Stabilize, palms to the side. Breath, left fingers, left knee, lunge deeper, reach on an angle. You can look straight ahead or turn your gaze slowly to the ceiling. When you reach, if it feels like your chest muscles got shorter and you're hunching a bit in the back, just reach less. Long through the neck. Your lunge is up to you. Come back to your warrior 2. Feel free to challenge your lunge. Left fingers reach out. First, make it easy. And then come back to your warrior two. I'm going to try to save this class for those of you who want to save it, watch it later, try it out later, or even share it. Full breath in and a long breath out. Good. Hands to hips, straighten. Alternate toes face the same way. We're going to heel toe to the center of the mat and we'll finish in dancer's pose. I find dancer's pose is like an everything pose. You're welcome to have a ledge to hold on to. So now find your mountain pose, tighten belly suspenders, bend the right knee. First kick back and then pick the right foot up, inside or outside of the foot. It's okay if your knee is in front of you. It's more important to neutralize the pelvis. So tone the lower abdomen, lengthen the spine, and if you'd like to add to the stretch, you can kick back, pushing your foot into your hand. Left hand to heart or maybe a wall or a ledge, left fingers can reach up. So the practice in this version that I'm teaching is more about toning the lower abdomen, increasing the glute muscle activation as you kick back. For 10, you can kick more if you want. 9, 8, 7, kick back. 6, 5, take a big breath. Slowly let go. We're almost done here. Still holding on to a ledge. So that right foot was kicking back. Let's lift the right knee in front and either come into a tree pose or take that right heel above the left knee and reach forward. So it's a kind of thread the needle squat. Big breath. Sit low if you like. Slide up, foot down, arms down, right to our other side. So tall, tailbone to heel, bend the left knee, scoop it up with your hand, outside or inside, lengthen the low back, tighten the low abs, reach up or hand to heart, take a breath. Pay attention to how it feels to kick that foot back. If your alignment has changed just to kick back, then bring that knee forward and tuck the tail. Reach, inhale, kick back, exhale. Breathe for 10. You can kick back more if you like. 8, 7, big breath. Kick back if you like, keep the breath strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's lift the knee, tree pose, or prop that knee above the standing knee. Prop the ankle, reach forward. Feel free to bring the tailbone down, bending that standing knee. Take 3 strong breaths, and this is it. Breath is louder than your thoughts. Good, and slowly rise up, release that, walk to the top of your mat, your last strong flow. Inhale, lift and reach, strong breath. Exhale, slowly bow over the legs. Inhale, straighten the spine. Exhale, plank position, and lower the knees if you like. Breath in to prep, breath out to bend the elbows. Breath in, upward facing dog or cobra, and breath out, downward